Someday, I'm gonna make great machines that fly. And me and my friends are gonna go flying together into the forever and beautiful sky. Lila, and Teefs, and Flora, and me. Rocket.
My emotions! My emotions! I'm back, baby.
I'm not gonna lie, if you told me, hell, even a year ago, that I'd be tearing up for a rabbit, walrus, otter, and raccoon all flying into the forever together, I wouldn't have believed you. Guardians 3 is a mixed bag to me. It was great when it was great, and it was okay when it was okay. Now, that being said, it isn't my rose-tinted glasses. I mean, I'm not going to come at this like this was the best thing since sliced bread. And given the onslaught of content that we've gotten by Marvel in the past couple of years, some of it has been okay and some of it has been not good. Then there are some things that are just sleeper hits. The visuals of this movie are fantastic. I mean, it's crazy how not too long ago, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania came out, and you're expecting the quantum realm to be this big fantastical thing, which I guess it is, but it's so boring. I was expecting Star Wars or, I don't know, freaking Flash Gordon, but this was just gray, boring, colorful, but not breathtaking. But the Guardians movies do not miss when it comes to visuals, and even something like the one planet that looks like a giant asshole, that looks freaking amazing. I mean, disgusting looking, but freaking amazing. The central plot of the movie is about overcoming your demons, like most of the Guardians films. If one was about the mother, second is about the father, and the third one is about yourself. That's even paraphrasing from the director himself. And it's true. First one, Peter has to deal with the loss of his mother and how that affects him going forward. 2 was finding the lost father that he never had, realizing
he may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't Mary Poppins.
And his third one, he's reeling with the loss of Gamora, with all the timeline shenanigans that we got in Infinity War and Endgame, and this new Gamora who's kind of an asshole, which is good because that's how Gamora was in the comics anyway. She's a real asshole and not this lovable mom of the group. Zoe Saldaña in this movie, while she does do a admirable job, especially when it comes to distincting herself from previous Gamora, I don't really feel like she needed to be in this movie. But going back to Peter had a lot of growing up to do, you know? He starts the movie as a raging alcoholic, and it wasn't until Rocket gets seriously injured where he cleans up his act and realizes he needs to stop looking for external love and start loving himself. Speaking of Rocket, this movie is all about Rocket. And I like Bradley Cooper. Give me a raccoon with a New York accent and I'll fall in love with it. Rocket carries the movie with all the tragic backstory, and that's saying a lot considering how Nebula is in this movie. She's the daughter of freaking Thanos. Even she admits that what Rocket has gone through is 10 times worse. And what I like about this is it shows you why Rocket has been such an asshole. They've alluded to it and they've downright spoken about it, but you haven't really seen the gravity of the situation until seeing these flashbacks. And the villain that they got, the High Evolutionary, played by Chuck, I'm not going to say his full name because it's really hard to say his name anyway. Chuck does a great job, and you've probably seen Chuck before. He was on Peacemaker. He played Merb, and it was pretty good. I really think he outdid himself as a villain, considering the fact that the last villain we got was Jonathan Majors Kang, who was not bad, but I feel like we didn't get to know too much about him. He was really angry. I liked his performance more in Loki than I did in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So we'll see. Hopefully this is not the end of Jonathan Majors, considering all the allegations that he has going forward, but that's neither here nor there. The High Evolutionary was an amazing villain, and I miss when villains could just be villains, and he came out swinging because he was just a pure asshole. He didn't have a tragic backstory. He didn't have a motive that you could understand and kind of like, oh yeah, I understand, even though you're like destroying half of the planet, I sympathize you, Thanos was right, ha. No. And it wasn't like Killmonger who's like, oh wow, you're an asshole, but I get it. Or freaking Loki, oh, it's trying your backstory. No. He was just a guy with delusions of grandeur who perceived himself as the smartest man in the room and had an axe to grind to prove it. You know, he was just playing God. I guess PETA views this movie as a PSA against animal abuse, which I can see because the way this guy treated animals were just downright terrible. Because you see, the whole premise is he wants to create the next evolution of beings. He wants to create the perfect society, and he's using animals to do that. Also, he created the Sovereign, and a lot of other planets, the Sovereign happened to be the race that Adam Warlock comes from. And speaking about Adam Warlock,
Korvac.
he's okay. He's kind of like Vision. I mean, I know in the comics he's Space Jesus, and we're never going to get him fighting Thanos unless they do like a what if, but that's fine, I guess. I mean, people who are attached to... I was excited to see Adam Warlock back when they did the whole Cocoon thing because I was aware he was going to fight Thanos. I knew about that. So, I don't know. For someone I've been waiting for X amount of years, he's okay. He's passable. The himbo angle, you might like it, you might not like it. I'm okay with it. It didn't go to the point where it's like Thor, which thank God, but they give a valid explanation. Even though he is a strong, powerful being, he's kind of like a child, so he doesn't really understand normal things. He's kind of like how Drax doesn't understand things. He takes things literally, but you know, that happens when you're just born. It's not like Vision, who pretty much gets things that. The rest of the team does a pretty cool job. Nebula kind of sets up as the leader of the group temporarily while Peter's in the background trying to do his own thing. Groot is Groot, which I'm still kind of freaked out about the whole muscle-bound Groot. Not my favorite design. Personally, I would have been perfectly fine with like baby Groot or like teenage Groot, like the way he was. You could keep him like that, but I get it. Things change and people change, and they just wanted to go their own direction. He's not his father, which, you know, he was never supposed to be. He's upsetting to look at, in my personal opinion, but he's still, because he's got the baby face, but the Vin Diesel voice on a like giant brolic body. I don't know how I feel about it, but it is what it is. Mantis and Drax are the Abbott and Costello of this franchise, and their platonic brother-sister relationship is amazing. She has more of a brother and sister relationship with Drax than she does with Peter. Like, Mantis and Peter, like, rarely, if ever, do anything with each other. Like, they barely interact. So I like Mantis and Drax a lot, especially the scene where Nebula calls out Drax for his foolishness, and Mantis claps back and sticks up for Drax, because Drax is the heart of the and soul of the team. You know, they say it's either Groot or Rocket, but I think it really is Drax. You know, he may be the idiot, but he's our idiot, and all of the Guardians are basically stupid anyways. What I didn't like about the movie is some of the music choices. In the previous films, the music choices made sense in the context of the movie. The opening song of the movie made sense because it's about Radiohead's Creep, and Rocket feels like an outsider, and that song is about being outcast, creep, a weirdo. So it works. No Sleep Till Brooklyn, although it's a song that's been overused like 1,000 times, the sequence itself is really good, and the song is, it's passable. I liked it. Everything else kind of felt like, I don't get it. I understand that Zune was loaded with songs from 70s, 80s, 90s, and modern day, whatever. But they just don't slap like they used to. Also, some of the comedy dragged on a little bit. I feel like the scenes could be cut down shorter. Some jokes didn't land. There was a whole thing when the Guardians had to sneak into a facility, and Peter just felt like he was trying too hard. And you had Nathan Fillion come in. Some of the scenes were funny. Other scenes were like, And sometimes they undercut serious moments. The tone kind of flip-flopped. The movie ended with a sour but understandable note. It was a bittersweet ending because Guardians break up. You didn't see it coming, or maybe you did. Maybe you have future sight. And this is nothing new in the comics. The team is ever evolving, ever shifting. But didn't think the MCU would go this route. Honestly, I thought we would have lost Drax and Rocket, but no, nobody died. Just people go their separate ways, just like real life. Mirrors like real life friendships. Most of the team stays on nowhere. Mantis goes her separate ways and tries to find herself outside of the Guardians. Peter also does the same thing, but his is more to reconnect with his grandfather, who he left on Earth since the time he got kidnapped. Rocket is now the leader of the Guardians, alongside Groot, Adam Warlock, Lavelle, which is that little girl that they saved in the movie, who happens to be related to Marvel and the Kree Empire. That's a whole different thing. Maybe they'll touch on that in the future Guardians movie. Maybe we'll see something in the Marvels. Don't know, but that's a future issue. And they have Cosmo and Kraglin, who have an interesting dynamic in this movie that I didn't talk about, but yeah, Cosmo is a good girl. Yeah, and Nebula's kind of like the mom/manager of Nowhere, alongside with Drax. So that's what they're doing, like taking care of the people and the kids that they saved. But overall, this movie was an okay movie, solid movie. Some parts of the movie made me cry, so when it hit the highs, it hit the highs. When it hit the lows, it kind of missed the mark. Is it my favorite Guardians movie? I think 2 is still my favorite movie, even though you can say however you feel about Ego. I still think 2 is the best one for me. Should you see this movie? Hell yeah. Don't let my opinion fool you. If you like it, you like it, and if you don't, you don't. If you agree or disagree with everything I've said, don't forget to comment in the comment section and explain to me what you did or didn't like. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know the next time we upload. And thanks for watching.